Welcome to the Mindful Garden. It's nighttime. I'm a little late doing my video today. Um, Today we'll start as usual with centering myself, and hopefully whoever watches this video will center themselves as well and then be able to absorb what we're talking about at the same time. So let's take some deep breaths. Bring ourselves, center ourselves, and bring ourselves into our heart space. Three good, deep, purposeful breaths. Usually are enough to do it for most people. If you're highly stressed, it can be more. You can take your time and breathe yourself down from many a situation if need be. I've used it often. But anyway, what are we talking about today? How do we fix the world? That's a big topic. How do we fix the world? What are some of the problems we see? I see this time where we have COVID-19 going through and kind of restricting us and getting us to sit back and reflect. It's a good time to reflect, and reflection is actually a good start on how do we apply ourselves when we get out of this situation. Like, sure, why not? Why not just take a step back, shut things down a little bit, keep the essentials going, and make it so that we really reflect on what's important in our lives, and make it so that we then can step forward and apply that to the world. How do we fix the problems of the world as a community, as a world community? Because that's what we really need to address as a world. And we, the people, have the ability, because we can connect just as we are now through many YouTube videos and Facebook and different things. We can connect with people around the world. I'm connected to people from Australia, Africa, Russia, and all over the world. It's amazing. And we can share and understand each other better just as people, as the people of Earth. And I see that as a way that we can actually solve this problem if we keep this connection open, which is definitely a good thing. And since we have this time where we're closed off and reflecting upon ourselves, we can take it and look at different things that need to be addressed, like the environment. There's a huge problem going on where we are shutting down the water cycle in much of the world, and it is desertification is happening at an alarming rate. But there is much progress. China is definitely wrestling the problem, and they've actually applied their military to it, which is an amazing thing. And they have transformed some of the desert into a lush, beautiful place, which is nice. And there are places around the world where they're doing the same thing. And those are the solutions to the things. Like, how do we fix these problems? We spend and invest in regenerating the land and regenerating the water cycles to bring back the water cycles to the world. And that's how we rebuild the glaciers and stuff like that as well, because that's part of why they're melting, besides the global warming, is they haven't be rebuilt because we shut down the water cycle by harnessing so much agricultural land and shutting off the natural buildup of water over land. In the Amazon, the natives are talking about it. There's a couple of really good documentaries where they talk about it. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but sorry. But there are solutions to these problems, and by managing our water very diligently and making it so that replenish the water system is one of the first steps in reclaiming the earth. And it's being done in Africa in places, it's being done in China, like I said, and it can be done in North America and Brazil, where we have kind of overstepped our bounds in agriculture and deforested and turned these big, vast lands into big, huge wastelands, which need more water bodies and natural areas on them. And we need to regenerate our lands through that. Responsible agriculture is something we really need to address. And because industrial agriculture has been used as a way to feed the world, they see themselves as the dominating way. But because of the way they've used it, they've compromised the water cycle over a large portion of the planet, unfortunately. But it can be done. Regenerative agriculture works very well. I've seen it on many a farm, in many a documentary, and in person now. And it is beautiful to see regenerative agriculture at work. It restores the land. It uses animals, which kind of goes against a lot of vegans, but unfortunately it's true. Animals reside on this planet, and we can use them as part of the process of regenerating the land and making it more prosperous and make the world a better place. It's simple as that. Like, if we regenerate the land and treat the land well, that's the main solution, is to respect the earth and be responsible for the way we manage the water cycles and manage our resources and harvest our resources. Like I don't think it's prudent to destroy large tracts of land at a huge swath at a time. We can slow down the process of mining and do it slowly and regeneratively rebuild as we go. It can be done responsibly, and there are many companies that do it responsibly. We just need to find them and support them. If it was my world to if it was my world to change, there would be lots of things I'd be investing in. And geothermal energy, properly done, like Iceland and New Zealand have done, would be good investments. There's lots of places where it can be applied in the United States and Canada and around the world. There is many different beautiful technologies that can be applied to make our lives easier and more bountiful if we share amongst ourselves. And like, for instance, if we started free seed exchanges and started making gardening supplies cheaper and easier for people to garden and teach gardening in school, we could easily make it so that we reduce the burden of food, because people are supplying some of their own food. And if we start supplying our own food ourselves and sharing that bountiful harvest, like if I grow a whole bunch of squash that I can't eat all of them, and I share them with my neighbor, and my neighbor grows a whole bunch of apples and they share me a bunch of apples, then we can prosper by just sharing. And it's a sharing economy that we need to inspire in this world, and a more heart-centered world. It's hard to explain for that one, but I see good aquaculture that can be applied, done properly. The fish farming out in the oceans, unfortunately, has had adverse effects. So if we could move it inland and properly do it with filtered water and stuff like that, which has been done and will be done as it has been done around the world. I see many opportunities for stuff like that as a way to invest and grow more food for our world and make it so that we're less burdened on the environment, so we're not relying on the oceans for as much seafood. If we grow seafood in a aquaculture same system and make it so that we can do it so that we keep the water and recycle the water and do it. I know it's been done, and I know there are many industries around the world that have been doing it. They've done it in the Amazon, where they have restored a basin that now produces a large amount of fish, and it's the Great Lakes themselves could be used as a great way to increase production of fish. There's lots of different ways, and if we work with the ocean and we can manage the fish in the ocean, they will regenerate and repopulate. We just have to slow down and think about it responsibly, and it's just a matter of convincing the world of that, which takes, I think, a lot of convincing. A lot of us who see the better way forward doing a lot of steady, good talking and explaining to people, even just like me, like just even just to family and friends and stuff like that, just explaining how like even universal basic income can make a huge difference in the world just because of automation. And like, if you think about it, if they have automated taxis coming, and they're coming very quickly, they have already got automated trucks coming, they've got lots of manufacturing where it's being reduced the labor, which is, when you look at what labor does to people and harms people in their life, like if we can reduce the labor in some places and we can take the people who have time and apply them to the places where we can't reduce the labor and share the labor and make it so the labor is not as much of a burden on each individual person, so that we don't burn them out and we don't hurt them, we make a better world. I'm starting to pull things out the air there, but like I see like the immigrant workers, and they work their asses off, and what we could do is we could all work with them instead of relying on them to do all the hard work. Like, instead of putting all the labor on a little small number of people, we can have a large number of people do the things that need labor. Like, there's harvests and stuff where we don't have machinery that can do it, and there's different things where we can have people doing things. We just need to apply people to them. We're wasting our time on there's a lot of jobs out there that are basically pointless busy work, and we know it, and we just make people do them because it's a way to keep society busy instead of revolting and fighting for equal rights and stuff like that. If we keep people busy, then they don't have time to change the world. It's better if we give people time to reflect and know what they need for themselves and learn for themselves and when develop themselves. If we promote that, if we use the media machine in a responsible way, we can change the world. Public television did it a lot with good television programming and with responsible people who took charge and did great programs. When I was a kid, we had some very good programming that made a huge difference on a lot of people's minds, and they had a good influence. We can easily direct media to do that now, but it's just a matter of creating responsibility in media and creating good media that educates, both in, say, now interactive video games, which can be applied to create a very in-depth educational experience for children that would both be rewarding and entertaining at the same time. It's just a matter of putting in the effort and creating those games that would be that immersive and educational environment. I think they're out there already in some cases, but there are lots of things we can do to fix this world. We can definitely start choosing more humble, responsible leadership, like the president of Uruguay. I don't know if he's still the president anymore, but they called him Pepe, but he was a farmer president. He was a beautiful man, very humble, and I think that's what kind of leadership we need around this world, is some humble leadership that's not gonna rule themselves with ego and bravado. They're gonna look at the world in an objective way and take the strategically smart path forward for everyone involved, which is what we really need in this time right now. Anyway, I think that's long enough for tonight. I like to close out with a prayer, which is weird for me because I don't really believe in God. I believe in our connection to each other, and through prayer that puts intention out into that connection, which is an interesting thing that I've been playing with. So that's why I'll continue it. I'm going to pray for the opening of hearts and the opening of minds. I want people to open their minds to the fact that you can be an atheist and still be spiritual in a way. I will try and explain not believing in God, and it's hard. But anyhow, open hearts and open minds. May many blessings come to those people that want to change the world. May abundance come their way. May there be beacons that we see that change the world in good ways. Anyway, you guys have a good night. It's been an interesting video. Kind of interesting. Have a good night.